how did this project, this band, come together?
Well, my good brother Jesse Dayton, who I've known for years. Me and him and Ian have all known each other since the late '80s. Growing up around Antone's, Continental Club, all these Austin places. We all have the same heroes. We'd be sitting there, watching on a Monday night. Be it Denny Freeman, Jimmy Vaughn, Derek O'Brien, all the Austin guys, Mel Brown. And at Antone's they had all the other great guys. Hubert Sumlin would be there, Wayne Bennett. Tons of. We all have the same heroes. But anyway, Jesse, about a year and a half ago, said, "Man, why don't me and you and Ian go just throw some tunes around in the studio and see what happens?" So we did, and it went great. We had a great time, but then we were all busy. I was doing T-Bird stuff and Marsha Ball and stuff with my brother and Barfield, all these things. And Jesse had his solo thing. He was on tour with Samantha Fish for 17 months, pretty much, running full time. And Ian's doing his own, his thing, which keeps him super busy too. So we all got busy, and then Jesse kept circling back around and going, "Man, let's go do a couple more. Let's keep this kind of thing. Let's see what we could do." So finally, he was talking to the good folks over there at Blue Elan, and he said, "We could go make a record. We could just go book the time. I've got it set up at Willie Nelson studio if we want. If we could all do it like in January, February, when we're slower." So we did. We went in there for 5 days, cut. We'd already done the 3 songs we kept from the first session we ever did. Then we cut 9 or 10 songs, and we're pretty much done in 5 days.
Wow.
And and it just released last week. It's all really cool. Came together really nice. So.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how fast you guys were able to put that all down.
I know.
And then, I'm curious, as you said, you had all this stuff going on, especially your, what you would call your full-time gig somewhat with the Fabulous Thunderbirds. But I'm curious, how are you a different player with the Texas Headhunters than maybe you are with the Thunderbirds?
It's funny because we're all 3 fronting the band, so I'm a little more out there. I think I made a whole living and career, backing up people, and so this has been fun. It's a perfect thing these guys are used to leading their own bands for their whole career pretty much, and so it's been great to put. To jump into that. And these guys are both very supportive and cool and, really, they got my back. And so it is a bit different, definitely it's a lot more out in your face. And, when you're backing up someone, especially someone great like Kim, it's like, he's a great singer, a great harmonica player, a great songwriter. It's a whole different role than when you're trying to be that guy. So this thing's definitely a lot more, in a lot more ways, a lot more out front. So,
yeah. Now, what I'm always fascinated with situations like these, you got 3 guys just going at it on the guitar, and yet, you guys are not stepping on each other or anything like that, and there's a lot of sound. There's a lot of energy. It's powerful, but it's all balanced. And I'm wondering, what's the key to doing that when you have, 3 serious guitarists going at it at the same time?
I think that's the one thing that kind of pushed us even further into it was because, you could imagine a lot of it would be a nightmare with you get 3 guitar players and they're all just, you know what I mean? You got to be tasteful and it's fun being on this trip. Like this week's the first trip we've done on our own, and it's like growing every day. We're finding different strengths. We all, things we have common ground in, and so it's really fun. It's in that way, and everyone's very supportive. Jesse was saying earlier, he goes, a lot of times I just completely changed the way I approach playing, like the rhythm. When you're playing, when you dive out into a solo and give room. And I think we all three are approaching it that way of being, supporting, but also bringing your own, bringing your own best too at the same time without, being tasteful also. So
I know you've known Ian and Jesse for a really long time and been friends, but it's a whole different thing to know someone and then to play with them. And I'm curious what you've learned so far from this experience, of playing with each of them.
Man, I've learned a lot on different, all like I said, like fronting a band. They're both great front guys, so I'm taking a lot of notes as we're going. So when it's my time to jump in there, I'm definitely learning a lot in that realm right there. But also, just, it's tricky because you play with guitar players, you do have to approach it a little different, than if you're playing with a, great harmonica player or just a guy that sings.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely have to learn to get more, be a lot more on, paying attention to, what everybody's doing, for sure.
Well, how would you describe the difference between your various styles with the guitar?
Yeah, it's funny, Jesse, we all have definitely all in the same bag when it comes to blues. We all really love blues, soul music, rock and roll too. I mean, all the things we talk about, we're all like, oh yeah, I love the Clash. I love Otis Redding. I love Al Green. I love, Freddie King, Albert Collins.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely all coming from the same thing, but we've all come from a different place. Definitely Ian's got more of a blues rock, psychedelic, but he's gone all over the place. He's done all kinds of like folky records, all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. And Jesse's definitely coming from a rockabilly country, but we all really tie it all around the blues. It all's kind of got the common thread in that.
Yeah. So you have that common language that you could all
definitely
speak with. And that makes me also wonder, when you're communicating, when you guys are on stage or how you want to phrase a particular part, how do you express it? Do you just play something? Do you use a different vocabulary? Do you use references to different, classic blues musicians? How do you communicate what your ideas are with each other?
Well, that's the thing. It's pretty easy because those guys they all like we're all into the same thing. So it really, you can really kind of go, and everyone's really conscious of having their own voice. That's like not really trying to copy, but you can really definitely leave a reference of like, kind of like an Albert Collins thing.
Mm-hmm.
And both these guys will be like, totally, I hear you. I'm there. I totally know what you mean. And they do the same things all the time too. Where they'll say some reference like, man, let's do more of this kind of,
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I mean, it's billed as, kind of an authentic Austin blues album.
Yeah.
Was that, did they come up with parameters for like, okay, it should sound like this, but not like this?
It's very broad in that. But we do always have fun suggestions that we all grew up knowing. We definitely can go, man, like what would a Denny Freeman do?
Mm-hmm.
What would he do on this kind of part? Or any of the other guys we grew up seeing. There's so many of them around Austin. A lot of people that most people don't even know about, that the guys that we all three were completely the same, had the same influence on all three of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not like a tight perimeter at all, but like I said, it could also expands out to be going another day and goes, man, we came out the first three songs, we were like the Clash, and we all three are going, yeah, that's perfect. A lot of bands you'd say that and someone would go, ooh, I hope not, or
right.
But we're all three, the whole band too, is just like, oh, all right, we're all that. Okay, that's what we want. I'm glad, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
So there's definitely that energy. And it's like we all three do know too at the same time. It's like the early T-Birds, to me, had that same kind of energy, had that same, when I first got into that kind of, the Thunderbirds specifically, like I was like, man, to me, there's not that much difference in that or the Clash or Hound Dog Taylor or, you know, any of those type things. J.B. Hutto, Lightning Hopkins, like early records in the 50s.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I found those records and I'd hang out with all the punk rock guys at school smoking cigarettes. And I found Albert Lightning Hopkins and I went, man, this is way more punk rock than the Cramps. I mean, that's what the Cramps are trying to do. Or
Right. But it's that same attitude. Yeah.
And I love it. These guys are, I mean, you could say that in a lot of bands and people go, what are you talking about? And, you know, around here, it's like, yeah, totally.
Right. But no, I think it's great that it's also like, okay, we're not going to rule anything out, you know, because whatever influences us, and it still makes up our you know, musical genetic makeup, so to speak.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you know, I got to see Jesse perform last year at this event in Los Angeles. But what was cool is I also got to see him do sound check. And what amazed me was he went as hard in sound check as he does during the show. I mean, there was like he didn't lay back at all. It was just like, you know, massive amounts of intensive energy.
He's always like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a hard charger. He doesn't. Yeah. He brings it, you know, all the time.
Yeah. And I thought it was because I asked him about that and he said, well, you know, on the one hand, I want to know sound wise for the sound guy and for the venue, what can this handle? You know, like you don't want to like, you know, kind of coast through the sound check and then find out, well, you can't really blow it up when you get to the show. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing too. Like you said, what I'm picking up on or learning out here with these guys is they've been doing that the whole time. And that's a great way to approach a sound check. I mean, you're playing rhythm guitar, backing up somebody. You have a different role back there, you know. It's like, but being the front guy, yeah, you got like you're talking about Jesse did, like you got to jump in there and go, I want this thing to sound like it's going to sound when we get on the gig, you know, here in a couple hours. So.
Right. And then, you know, of the singles that have been released, there's the one "Give Me Some Love," which you do lead vocals on.
Yeah.
And what I'm curious about is what was the evolution between when you wrote it and when it got recorded? What happened to that song when you brought it to them and it went into the Texas Headhunters mix? So to speak?
It was pretty much as it was, you know, in the demos I'd made at home, and but yeah, when you get those guys in there, they started adding background vocals and definitely like had good suggestions on things. I remember Jesse, I think, on the bridge on that song going, man, maybe if you just change the way you're singing that one line, and it, you know, just little production notes, you know, that when you're doing it on your own, it's great to have someone to bounce it that you trust to bounce it off of that can. So it definitely went through the Texas Headhunter, you know, filter.
Yeah.
And
no, but I mean, I would think that would be one of the advantages of being in this situation. Is it's like, okay, it is my song, but I want to take advantage of the talent that is around me at the same time.
And it really helped a lot. And it's the great thing, I think, on a lot of these songs, we each brought 3 or 4 songs to the session. And like on that one, that's Jesse and Ian playing all the solos. I'm just playing the strummy rhythm guitar part. And I love what they're doing. They're totally weaving in and out of the whole song, kind of playing off of each other. In a really cool way. Kind of Keith Richards, Ron Wood kind of, you know, influence you can hear back in there. So
yeah. And how much of that was spontaneous when it came to
it was very spontaneous. Like that song was very, like, I mean, literally I showed it to him the night before at Jesse's house before we went in the studio. Then when we went and recorded it, I showed it to the guys in the rhythm section. and I mean, it was pretty. That one really just kind of happened. I mean, when I started playing and everybody got a vibe, and those guys just fell right in with the guitars kind of weaving.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one really very organically happened.
Mm-hmm.
We added the background vocals after we recorded it.
And then, kind of along that same theme, how different are the performances of these songs in concert? Because
Man, they're all morphing too. Like that Headhunters theme we do on there. We've been working on that this week, and this is the first week we've played it live.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse's instrumental on there, Burning Daylight. We had never played either one of those, and they're both morphing into whole nother things. Like all of a sudden, new things are kind of dropping in, and
Oh wow,
yeah, so they're definitely evolving live. Nothing's really, none of us like really kind of play the same thing over and over again. So it's pretty open.
yeah, okay. Because it doesn't seem like any of you guys would be, oh, we're just going to do this a rote, note for note kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do that, but yeah, these guys I love it because I've always been that way, and they're totally the same way. Every time you play, it's it's going to be a whole new take, on it.
Yeah. And then to flip it, so another cool song from this album that was just released as a single is "Pocket," which is a tune from Ian. But I'm curious, like, all right, so Ian brings you a tune, and obviously you're talking with guys that have some serious skill.
Yeah.
What do you say to guys like that about, well, this could be better, or I would change this?
Not really. I mean, little things here and there, we all kind of, everybody's pretty open. But
Mm-hmm.
like that song too is the same way. Like he brought it over to Jesse's the night before we got together and went in the studio. And we definitely instantly just kind of very organically get on the same page. Like, and that's the same as my tune you're talking about. On that one, Ian's playing rhythm and singing, and Jesse and I are doing all the lead stuff on there.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like the way I was approaching it was kind of like, if you hear like those early Bob Dylan records, where Mike Bloomfield's kind of just playing these kind of high soaring leads, real almost crazy garage rock blues.
Yeah.
And I was kind of doing that, and Jesse completely just goes, man, you reminded me of like Mike Bloomfield. Like that's what you ought to be going for. I'm like, man, that's what I'm totally channeling in the back of my head. So
wow,
that's where it's fun. And Ian knew right away too. It was like, yeah, that.
Right.
Everything just falls into place real easy. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
that's kind of the magic of it, I think, right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating when all of you guys have the same frame of reference. I mean,
yeah, and they're pretty broad. I mean, be it local guys we all grew up loving, or Mike Bloom, just something you dug about an old Bob Dylan record where you go, man, remember those where Mike Bloomfield's just going crazy in the back, behind the vocal. So
right, yeah. And I'm wondering, like, did you take this as an opportunity to do some experimenting with things that maybe you'd always wanted to do, but that wouldn't fit with the Thunderbirds or wouldn't, fit with anyone else you supported?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot of that gets encouraged a lot more than, other things you're doing, for sure. But it's a lot more open for all that kind of stuff.
Right. Like, because I was watching the video for Give Me Some Love, and I'm assuming you guys are playing to it the way you did it on the recording, and you have a capo on your guitar that's lower than I've seen anyone ever put a capo before. I mean, it's like 4 frets down or something like that.
It's actually 6, 7. It's like, I think 6 maybe. Like, it's, yeah.
Where did that come from?
Because to sing and play it in that position, so I'm kind of playing in like a D position, but that song's in A flat. So if you put the capo on the 6th fret, you're kind of playing in D. It just kind of it chimes it just rings out better, I think, playing in that. So I just kind of went, I think this will work best to do it. Because, I mean, I could play it with the capo on the 4th fret, but it wouldn't have the same, I don't know, the same kind of ring. It wouldn't fit as well, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But I'd never really done that before. I just kind of, just out of necessity, went, I think I like it better here. The way it makes the song sound. Kind of that just gets it more droning, and it's right in the middle range, kind of droning guitar there.
Right, so. Right. Because, I would think that would be another aspect of all this. Again, having, 3 guys, firing away on guitars. Not only is it about the space, but it's also about, okay, what tone am I in? What range am I in? If he's playing down here, should I play up here? And, finding that, where is my spot in this song?
Yeah, you definitely find those on almost every, every song. You definitely get in that mode of, where's my spot to be in here?
And, is it a matter of, okay, whoever wrote the song, they get to decide where they're going to hang out first, or how does that evolve?
I think so, definitely. Like on Ian's song Independence Day on that record, initially we just fell in kind of like we had been doing. I was playing a lot of the lead on it. And that was one definitely where he at some point he goes, hey, I want to do my Ian Moore thing on the solo on this in the middle. So I said, man, totally. Yeah, that makes total sense. So, but even on that one, we split it up. He called me back later. He goes, you play the intro solo and some of the fills. I'm going to play some fills and I'll play the middle solo. He goes, and you play the end solo. So that one's a really good one for, I think we're both kind of in the same style on that one, but we're both splitting up the leads.
Yeah.
But definitely it's very open where if anybody, we all feel pretty open to go, oh man, I really want that one,
Right. Okay. And then, you're all, you guys all have the chops as and the experience, especially in the realm of guitar. But, what I'm curious about is how you've evolved through this project as a front man, because both of them have spent a lot of time on stage as, not just the guitar player, not just supporting musician, but the lead guy, the front man, and, definitely. And working the crowd. How has that evolved for you?
Man, it's evolved a lot. I mean, I've the last couple of years with my brother, we have our Moeller Brothers thing, and I would split the night. We play, sporadically. Since I moved, we play like probably, every couple of months. We do, and I was used to doing that where he would sing half the night and I would sing the other half. And but this has been like, man, we went out with Samantha Fish for a week or two, and playing like really big crowds. And this trip we've been doing the same thing, and it's great for me to sit for part of the night behind both of those guys and watch how they do it, because they both have totally different styles, but they're both great front guys. What they do. So I always look at it like I'm in school on that. I'm and at the same time finding my own voice that's me. I think I'm probably definitely somewhere in between them both. Like just in style wise. So,
yeah.
But I'm definitely picking up a lot.
Not just in terms of singing, but also being a lead man. How has this experience gotten you? How have you gotten comfortable with being the one that talks to the crowd, that interacts with the audience?
Yeah. I'm fairly comfortable with it. I spent so many years behind Kim. He's a great front guy, and he's got a whole different style of doing it. So you kind of start paying attention to those things and kind of going, how do I put me into that? And you take little notes from what people do. So it's feeling really good though, finding my spot, especially with all three of us, figuring out who needs to jump in where,
Mm,
especially between songs.
right. All right. And then I'm curious what surprised you about this experience? Like, because you knew both guys, but you guys have not, this is the first time you guys have worked as a trio. And I know you guys all have experience up the wazoo, but, I'm curious what, maybe took you by surprise. Like, oh, I didn't expect this to come about because of this, or, this has been kind of a cool aspect I didn't even see coming.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, I've known Jesse, Ian both forever, but yeah, we've never spent this much time in a van together or in a studio or a rehearsal hall. And sometimes you think you know people and then you get around them for that much time and you go, oh my God. So I don't know if it's surprised me, but it's been a pleasant experience about how easy everyone really is. Like
Right.
there's no ego trips really going on at all, especially for three guitar players, front guys that are, you know,
Yeah.
it's very complimentary and very, you know, very no tripping at all. So
Right. Right.
that's been the nicest surprise because it could go the other way. You could go, oh my God, Johnny
Right.
Moeller's an idiot, man. He's a maniac. Oh, it's all about himself. but yeah, that's been great, and it is every day. We've had the last day off and yesterday off too, and we've all just been hanging and very
No,
family oriented out here.
no, that's very cool, and it's great to hear. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many horror stories out there that you hear about other
Oh
bands.
yeah, we've all got them.
Yeah, and some that are just actively litigating. But so it's always nice to hear. Oh yeah, they can hang with each other even on the day off.
Oh hell yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah. I'm curious also coming off of this experience, and it's hard to say because you're still in the midst of it, but I'm curious how might all of this influence you as a songwriter going forward?
Oh man, it definitely already is. We spent the day yesterday jamming, and Ian wrote a song. Like he went for a jog and came back, and he goes, "Man, I went into the town here and got all inspired and wrote a song." And just being around that, it's like, man, cool. That's And then we went back here and started putting it together. This really cool song that just kind of happened yesterday.
Oh wow.
So definitely things like that. And Jesse's the same way. Like, I mean, a song will happen really quick.
Okay.
And so I definitely have a lot of things, brewing, but watching those guys, they really, it'll come to, they do it so much. It comes together really quickly sometimes. So trying to get myself into that kind of rhythm, being that guy. So
Yeah, yeah. And then the other aspect I love about this band, this project, is in a world where everything is getting overshadowed by the technology behind the scenes and everything, and AI, and it's all ghost bands on Spotify and all this kind of stuff.
yeah.
I love that this is going as organic as possible. It's this wonderfully anathema to the trends that are happening in the big business world of the music business. And number one, it's great to see, it's great to hear, and but what I'm wondering is like, what is your advice for other musicians out there that are want to be this, they want to be organic and raw and yet still make it in this business? What is your advice for plowing ahead when there's all of this?
Yeah, when we're battling AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep doing it. Stay, keep pushing towards that way of your own ideas, and it's crazy now. Like I was looking, like someone sent me a message earlier on Instagram or Facebook saying something, and I noticed where it gives you an instant AI reply.
Yeah.
Like you say, thanks for reaching out, Chris.
Right.
I would love to talk to you.
Right.
Let's connect soon.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what the, like you no one can think anymore. Like you just got AI's got to answer everything for you. Like it's alarming, but hopefully there'll
Right.
be a movement of people that just push back against that, for the real shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I would hope. I
almost see like a time when people just go, man, put your phone down, and a movement of that.
Right. Right.
Try to pull away from it all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I keep saying, like, the idea of a concert filled with nothing but AI artists is the most boring thing I could ever imagine.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Hopefully it starts pushing away from that, or a movement of people that just get, it's a thing to get away from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get back to organic humanness.
Yeah. So, what is the key to staying in touch with that in this world where technology is encroaching on it all?
I know. I think, just seeing it for what it is, on the other side of like, that's not real. That's not real. They're trying to make it as real as it could be, human emotion or songs. And even like these cheesy songs people make, at first you kind of go, wow, that's pretty crazy. Like that sounds like a 50s rockabilly record.
Mm-hmm.
But then at some point too, you can kind of see through it and go, oh, I can see it's still missing something. That's, but it's definitely getting more and more creepy with the things they can make.